Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Ep.10 Oilers Throwback 2010 franchise mode here in NHL 25. So last episode, if you did not catch it, we started up the 2010-11 season, and so far our team is doing pretty good, which is not exactly what we were anticipating because we kind of wanted to be a bad team this season, just because we kind of wanted to start our rebuild already. But you can see we are 17-7-2, and currently the main reason why we're so good, I'd say, is because we have good special teams, and also we score a lot of goals. As you can see, we're third in goals for, 13th in goals against, so not really that bad there either, and then third on the power play, 9th on penalty kills. So I think what we're going to probably end up doing in this episode is maybe finding ourselves a worse coach and maybe reconfiguring the lines a little bit, maybe making some trades in this episode or next episode. But I think the main thing we need to do is basically find a coach that maybe works good with the younger guys, say guys like Sam Gagner, Jordan Eberle, Andrew Cogliano, so that way those guys still get good growth and still produce decently. But we want to find a coach that, if possible, isn't good fits with like guys like Hemsky and Horkov and all that, so that way they don't simulate as crazy and our team doesn't simulate as good, something like that. Also, maybe like changing up our defensive core, getting rid of one of these three guys, Souray, Gilbert, or Whitney. Maybe that will help us be a weaker team as well. And then maybe even moving on from Heavy Bull in the season would also make us a worse team. So there is a chance that we make some changes just to make our team hopefully drop off a little bit, because we aren't trying to make the playoffs. But obviously we do still want the young guys to get good development, because obviously if we bring in the wrong coach and they aren't a good fit for that coach, they could end up stunting the rest of their career, which hopefully won't be the case. So yeah, like I said, we need to find somebody that can fit Cogliano, Gagner, Eberle, maybe even some guys like Brule in a way. But definitely we don't want them to really fit Hemsky that well for sure, and Horkov if possible. Now, Horkov, we might still try and find a way to trade him in this episode or next episode as well. Now, he does still have a no movement clause, so it is going to be probably tough to move him at this point, but we'll see if we could definitely move on from him at some point in time. Hemsky, obviously, we have a lot more leeway, which is good because he have a good chunk of trade value, so there is a chance that, I don't know if I'd trade him in this episode, probably at the trade deadline would be a good time to do it, but I'm hoping that obviously we don't simulate too good while we still have him in our lineup. And then, like I said, from a defensive standpoint, probably parting ways with Souray, Whitney, or Gilbert would be a good thing for our team. I honestly might prioritize holding on to Gilbert over Whitney, just because Gilbert's a right-handed defenseman, and he is currently leading our team in points on the defensive side of things. So I think I might hold on to him, but somebody like Souray or Whitney could get dealt in this episode. And like I said, the goaltending, I think if we move on from the Bullen Wall, we could always run Delorier instead in the NHL with Devin Dubnyk as our 1-2 punch. So that's probably the plan, at least in this episode. And yeah, we have a bunch of guys that could end up coming up to the NHL at some point, like Payarvi and Omark. They might be here next season, which is kind of exciting. So hopefully we can find a coach that works well with those guys too once they get to the NHL. But anyways, before we get into simulating more of the 2010-11 season and potentially making some adjustments, let's get in your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into probably addressing the coach first and foremost. So the first comment is from Jared the Rabbit, who says tank for Nuge, and I mean, Nugent Hopkins would be a great player for us to draft. I don't know for sure if we're going to be able to get somebody like him, especially if we continue to simulate as good as we are. But it would be nice to have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins join this team. Now, there's also a chance if we could find a way to get first overall. Nikita Kucherov is obviously there. Guys like Mika Zibanejad, Gabriel Landeskog, Jonathan Huberdeau, Johnny Gaudreau, even though I feel like that would be kind of strange having Johnny Gaudreau on the Oilers, but still it would be nice to have him. Mark Scheifele's here, Sean Couturier. So there's some good options in this draft class, and hopefully we can find somebody that could help our prospect pool a little bit, because some of these guys have elite potential, some of them have top 6 potential, so we should be able to at least get ourselves somebody decent enough to kind of add to that prospect pool from last year's draft class. The next comment is from Sour Taco, says, if you want to tank, trade Souray, Hemsky, and a Heavy Bull to stockpile draft picks. See if Horkov will waive his no movement clause, but if not, it isn't the end of the world. Maybe he will next season if everything falls apart now. And so he's saying to trade Souray, Hemsky, and Heavy Bull, and that's probably a realistic thing we could do. Hemsky, I don't know, like I said, if I would trade him in this episode necessarily. I might honestly wait till next episode, but if we move out from guys like Souray and Heavy Bullen. I think that definitely should help us tank a little bit more so, because obviously our goaltending tandem won't be as strong. Our defensive core should be a bit weaker if we bring in just a random low-end defenseman and in like a higher up pick or something like that. So yeah, we could definitely look into moving Sure and Heavy Bullen in this episode potentially. Hemsky, like I said, I might wait till next episode, because if we move all three of those guys, I'm pretty sure we would be below the minimum cap, which means we probably need to take back some cap in the trades that we make. Like if we go to proposed trade, for instance, and we add Sure, Hemsky, and Heavy Bullen all to the same trade, even though we're not going to trade them all in the same trade, I'm pretty sure we'd be below the cap floor, right? Yeah, we'd be below the cap floor by quite a bit, I think, like $38 million if I got rid of Sure off this list. We'd be still below if we got rid of Hemsky. We'd be like probably right there. So we are definitely going to have to take back some salary in some of these trades, but they're probably going to be guys that maybe are low overall but have like a higher up cap hit, so that way we don't have to really make us a strong team while also keeping us cap compliant. And the last and final comment is from Michael Dose, who says, I know you want to tank, but be careful stunting young players' growth and find a coach that is good with the youth, but maybe has upper 50s number. And yeah, we want to find a coach that has like a low team fit, like I said, but it does work well with the young prospects on the team or young players on this team. So that's what we're going to look into. Obviously, right now we have, I think, a coach that's like a 66% fit, and he has been assimilating really well for his team. I think it's because he's an A- coach, but we definitely want to find maybe a coach with a lower overall rating that works better with the young guys only. Like you can see this coach at the moment, yeah, works good with Hemsky. He goes really good with Sure. And then he also works kind of good with like guys like Horkov and all that, but we kind of need somebody that's going to work more with the younger guys rather than the top guys. So that's what we're going to try and do, is find a new coach. So we're going to fire Kessler, even though he's been really good, I think, just because he's too good for this team. So we are going to fire him, and we're going to we're just going to temporarily promote, I guess, this coach as an interim for the time being. And we're going to just find ourselves a new actual head coach here. So let's see if there's anybody that works good with the young guys on this roster, but not guys like Hemsky. So this guy doesn't really work well with him, but he's already 62. I kind of want somebody lower than the 50, like in the 50s if possible, like Michael was mentioning. So Staubitz works good with, he works okay with most players, but he's not super good all around. Kind of want to see if there's anybody that actually would work good with the young guys, preferably. Like this guy's okay with Eberle. Is he bad with any of the young guys that are important? Cogliano, he's pretty low. I would rather somebody really good with Cogliano if possible, because Cogliano is outgrowing his potential, it seems like right now. Gagne he works well with, which is good. Okay, that's not that bad, but I want somebody that works better with Cogs if possible. 59%. Let's see, that's for the AHL? Yeah, that's listing the AHL ones for some reason. Oh, he's an AHL head coach. Huh, that's kind of weird. B- AHL coach? I don't think I've seen a B- AHL coach in a while. Huh. Maybe I should hire this guy for an AHL coaching job. How good is his teaching grade, out of curiosity? His teaching grade is actually pretty good. You know what? We're going to hire this guy as maybe an assistant in the AHL. I wasn't going to hire an AHL coach in this episode, but hey, let's bring in another AHL coach that can maybe help out Springfield a little bit. Might as well address Springfield while we're down here. Let's see what else we got here. 68%. All these other guys. Oh no, some are the NHL guys. Milan Hansel. Cogs he works really good with. He works really good with Gagne. Not super well with Hemsky. It's like 50%. Does not work with Sure whatsoever, which is good. Horkov he works kind of good with, but we could honestly get rid of Horkov soon. Down here he works pretty solid with Eberle. Alright, I think this guy might be the player. Or not the player, the coach. Like I said, he works well with a lot of the younger guys that I'm trying to hold on to. Does maybe work a bit too good with Ryan Whitney, but we are trying to part ways with maybe Sure instead. So, yeah, I think Hansel's going to be that new head coach for our NHL team. Which is kind of weird because he's not that great of a coach, but we're trying to make ourselves bad for at least the rest of this season, and hopefully the next 2 seasons as well. So we'll see if our new NHL head coach joins the team, and if our new AHL assistant will also join the AHL team, because we want the AHL team to still succeed. So I think that's the first order of business, is to see if the coaching changes make our team worse. If it doesn't, we'd look into obviously trading away guys that make this team good. So Sure especially would be one of those. So let's just advance a couple days here on this calendar screen as we do beat the Sharks in overtime. Kind of surprising on that. Let's see, do we get these coaches in Phoenix? Are we going to beat them? We do not get the AHL coach. For some reason, he does not like the market, so I'm going to try and get him to go for more money. But we do get Hanselin on board as our new head coach, so that's good news. Love to see it. So let's go back to the coaching staff and see if I could get that AHL coach, because I think that AHL coach would be actually really nice for our team. So let's go back down to here. Like, he's literally listed as an AHL head coach, but he has better ratings than some NHL assistant coaches and all that. So we are definitely going to go back for him again. And like I said, we're going to go AHL assistant coach. And let's just talk him up in money a bit, all the way to the max. And then he should accept. If he doesn't accept, then so be it. But I think our AHL team could deserve some good coaches down there. So that way we could get the best out of our young guys as much as possible. So let's see if we could get that guy. We did just lose to the Coyotes. Let's see, are we going to get that guy for the AHL? Yes, we do. Perfect. And do we lose to Colorado as well after that change? No, we do not. We beat them. Okay, so we're still winning some games since this new coach. I'm trying to think logistically of what I want to do here in terms of changes. Is there any bad chemistry with this coach? Yeah, that top 6 pairing. Yeah, I think we got to part ways with one of those defensemen here right now. The Bullen Wall has been okay as well. He's got a .903 save percentage. So maybe I trade the Bullen Wall and Sure and wait on Hemsky till next episode. That might be the play. But let's go to proposed trade and see what we could work out in terms of deals. So where the heck is proposed trade? Why am I just blind here? Oh, there you go. Alright, so let's add, first and foremost, I think we'll add Sure to this. Because Sure, we might as well cash out on his value. He's only got 15 points in 26 games. Like, he's been pretty good, but he's not been as good as Gilbert. So let's add Sure to this mix. Who would take him that is cap compliant? But we actually do have to take back cap because we'd be below the cap with him. I could retain salary on him, but I feel like that's not an ideal thing. Not an ideal thing, really. How much money do I need to bring back to make myself cap compliant? So I could trade him to Anaheim where he actually played in real life. That might not be a bad idea. I'd need a defenseman that actually could replace him right away, but that's not super good. So somebody like Lucas Spiza actually might not be bad. That's not a bad idea, bringing in Lucas Spiza. I didn't even think about Spiza. Because Spiza's a 78 at 26, or 20, not 26, but he's literally could jump into our defensive core right away. He's young. He doesn't have a huge upside, but he's young. And that's what we need as young players. So I think we'll add Lucas Spiza to this deal. I don't know if that would make them cap compliant, though. It does make them cap compliant. Okay, that's nice. We'd be under the league minimum cap still by a little tiny bit. Sorry about that, got interrupted by a lawnmower. So Spiza and Sure, obviously we'd still be below the minimum cap, it says. So we still need to take back another player that has some money attached to them. Let's just go all skaters and see who's making the big bucks. That is a low overall. So let's scroll to the bottom of this, see what we got here. I mean, there's Todd Marchant, but eh. So there doesn't really seem to be anybody with a huge cap hit on this team. So I don't really think we could really take back in any more cap hit than currently, unless there's a goalie, I mean. Yeah, there's not really a goalie or anybody that has a cap hit. So we might honestly retain a little bit of salary on Sure, even though I wasn't anticipating to. So yeah, we'll retain maybe a little bit of money on Sure, like a couple $100,000 to see if that makes us cap compliant, which hopefully it does. So if we retained like $500,000, we'd still be below the floor. $750,000 doesn't work. What about $1 million bucks? Okay, so if we retain 1 million out of the 5.4 for the next 2 years, it would work. So we might be able to retain a little bit less than $1 million. It looks like potentially. Nope, maybe not. 975? Nope, we have to retain exactly 1 million bucks to be cap compliant. still. So obviously the trade value is lopsided in favor of us completely still sending it to the Ducks. So we could definitely get back probably at least a first round pick back in this deal for Souray. So if we add Anaheim's first maybe for next year instead of this year, because they are probably going to be a playoff team this year. Spiza and a first. Let's see, they do want Souray. What else could we get? Do they have any prospects that are kind of intriguing? Sammy Vatanen. I don't know how some of these guys are going to pan out. Holland. Yeah, I don't know if these guys pan out or not. That's the only thing. I mean, Klingberg would be kind of interesting as a right D. Same with Vatanen, kind of. But Vatanen might have too much value. He is an offensive defenseman. 7 points so far in the AHL. Doesn't have the highest offensive awareness yet, but he could be good. John Klingberg was recently drafted. He's still a long shot from making it right now. What about goalie prospects? Medium elite goalie prospect to a Minen, but he probably has too much trade value to bring him in as well on this deal. Yeah, maybe not too much, actually. So let's see if this deal would go through. I don't know if it would, but Souray for Spiza, a first-round pick, and this elite goalie prospect that they actually want to get rid of. I don't know if this guy will end up making it because he was a 7th-round selection, but we might as well give ourselves more goalie prospects into the organization. So will this work, or do we need to add to get somebody like Tuomainen, basically? Let's see. Boom. Oh, it would work. Okay, well, I guess we're going to do that. I guess it's because we retain the salary. Maybe that helps a bit with Souray. But yeah, JF Shockett says we get moved down because of this deal. Because for some reason, I don't really know. But let's just go okay on that. Souray is off to Anaheim. I think that was a good trade. We get ourselves a defenseman to basically replace him right now, who's younger. Doesn't have a high ceiling, but could still become something decent. We get a first-round pick for next year, not this coming year. So I think that's kind of intriguing because who knows, the 2012 draft, we could maybe get somebody good in the first round. And then we also get back a medium elite goalie prospect. So that's a pretty solid little haul for Souray, I think. And one that helps out both teams a bit. So Spiza should be in the NHL. Yeah, he's a 77, it says. But he's obviously going to be playing in our top 6 because he's better than Chorney for sure. So, but I do like that little sneaky addition of bringing in Spiza. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be anything crazy for this organization, but he's young, and that's kind of what we need as young players. I honestly might play him on the top pairing with Gilbert. Might as well, because, I mean, Gilbert's an offensive defenseman, I think, and Spiza's a DFD. Two-way for Gilbert. Apparently that doesn't have good chemistry, but I'll double-check on that here shortly. Let's go back to this, and then I'll go back to the NHL team and see if the chemistry improved or not. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, it's not that bad. I could play him next to Petrie too, but let's go with Spiza and Gilbert as the top pairing, and then Whitney and Petrie, and then it would be Schmid and Strudwick. But so far this season, Spiza has not done a lot offensively, but like I said, he's a DFD, and he has been pretty good defensively, I guess. Let's see. 45 hits, 35 block shots, a lot of giveaways, but I mean, he seems to be doing a good job defensively. Like, he could definitely block and hit. So, I'll definitely like that in a little addition to our defensive core. Let's actually try and get rid of that minus as well. Just for, I don't know, but having Whitney on the top 6 pairing, it's kind of a bit strange. Let's just keep it like this. We're trying to lose games anyways. But that's a nice little addition. And then AHL, obviously that goalie is unsigned still, so he's not even going to be down in Springfield yet. But I like that trade a lot, actually. I think that was a pretty nice little move. Even if we had to retain $1 million, at least Souray's only signed for 2 years, so it shouldn't hurt us too much. All right, so that is one trade taken care of. The other player we were thinking about trading away is Horkov and Heavy Bullen, potentially. Horkov, I don't know if he would get dealt in this episode. We could definitely still see in next episode if he'd waive his no-movement clause, but Heavy Bullen's one that could get moved, and then we could run Dubnyk and Delorier. But the question is, like, where would I trade the Bullen wall, and what for? Because we're starting to build together a bit of a prospect pool now, in a way, because now we have Grubauer at least as a prospect if Dubnyk doesn't pan out, and then we also have that Tuomainen guy with some potential, so I like the way we're building this team up right now. So the Bull and Wall is still signed for 3 years, so I don't really know who's going to want this guy, but we're going to definitely see if there's a team out there that would take him. If there isn't, we honestly might just have to hold on to him until he retires, which isn't great. I might have to waive him. St. Louis wants him. They're the only team right now in the entire league that actually wants him, though, so guess he might be coming to St. Louis Blue. I'm kind of surprised that the Blues want him. Considering they already have Ben Bishop in the AHL right now, Conklin and Biron in the NHL, and they want to get rid of Biron, but they want to bring in Heavy Bullen, so I don't know what's with that. I'm not going to complain too much. I could try and bring in Ben Bishop in a trade like this, but I'm not going to do it. Instead, I'd prefer to take a draft pick and maybe also somebody else just because of the cap compliancy. So if I got like a second, I don't think I could get even second rounder for him. Maybe Pittsburgh's third. Yeah, Pittsburgh's third is probably the best I could get. I'd have to probably also take in, like I said, some more salary, which I'd need like probably somebody that's making a couple $1 million at least. Why does it invert like that? Goddamn. If I go all skaters here and sort by money, is there anybody here that I could take in? Nigel Dawes? He might be a bit too good. But he might be okay. Roman Polak. Sean Morrison. Colby Armstrong's on the block apparently right now. But Colby Armstrong, do I need Colby Armstrong? Not really. Stephane Veilleux. I'm trying to think of who I would bring in this other option. Looking for somebody with a cap hit. Marco Sturm on 895. I don't even think that would make us cap compliant having Marco Sturm, right? No. We'd have to have somebody over $895,000. So if I went for, like, say, Nigel Dawes, we still would not be cap compliant. We might actually have to retain some salary on Heavy Bullen to get this to work in terms of cap compliancy. Because basically, sorted by money, I mean, I'd have to probably take in somebody, one of their better players, basically. So I think what we're going to do is probably bring somebody in with a cap hit, and also we'll retain some money. So if I brought in Colby Armstrong, how much would I have to retain on the Bull and Wall to actually be cap compliant? Let's see. Let's do $500,000 to start, see where we are at that point. Still not cap compliant. What about $1 million? I don't really like retaining on people like the Bull and Wall, but is what it is. Just over $1 million, doesn't work yet. 1.1, it still doesn't work. 1.15, no. 1.2, nope. 1.3, no. 1.4, no. 1.5, no, still. Damn, man, this is going to be tough. 1.6, still not compliant. 1.7, still not compliant. 1.8, which is almost 50%, still doesn't work. And exactly 50% still doesn't work. So I don't really know if I could find a way to get rid of him. Unless I took somebody that was making more than 1.195 off the Blues, which there isn't a ton of people making more than that. Let's see again. If I was to still bring in Nigel Dawes, would that work? Nope. 1.6 and retaining half doesn't work. Yeah, I don't think there's a way that we're going to be able to get this to work. If I took in somebody who was making 2 point something, maybe. But these guys are all too good for this organization, so I think what we're going to lean towards doing... Let me see the goalies for a second. Yeah, I think I know what we're going to have to do here, and that's probably just wave the Bull and Wall. So yeah, I think we're going to just wave the Bull and Wall and put him down to the AHL and see if he gets claimed. If he doesn't get claimed, he might be just dead cap for us, but I don't think there's any way I could actually trade him and stay cap compliant right now. If I go find trade, is there any offers for him out of curiosity? Because I don't remember if there was in last episode. Let's see. No trades found. Damn. Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to waive him. I don't think he's going to get claimed just because he's He's kind of has a big cap hit, but we're going to send him down to the AHL. I don't really like doing this with goalies that are NHL caliber. I would love to trade him away, but there's nowhere I could get him right now. So St. Louis was the only team interested in him, and there's no way I could take back more cap and retain enough. So let's try and see if we could send Heavy Bullen down, bring up Delorier, and see if that works. So I don't know if the Bullen will get claimed. If he does get claimed, so be it. But not a lot of teams were interested in him anyways. It was only St. Louis. So let's see if we can waive him and call up Delorier. Yeah, I guess it worked. Okay, so I guess Heavy Bullen's going to be down in the AHL, which might seem a little bit strange, but that's the only place I could put him right now. Just because nobody else wants to bring him in. We could definitely still try and trade him in next episode, but I want to go with the weaker goaltending tandem of Dubnyk and Delorier. And obviously now that we have a weaker defensive core as well, weaker coach, we should hopefully do worse. If we still don't do bad before the trade deadline, we need to find a way to move out from Horkov and Hemsky. It's pretty much as easy as that. But it's going to be probably tough to do it to make us cap compliant. So, yeah, Heavy Bullen in Springfield. We could just say that he's on a, I don't know, like a little bit of a career resurgence, trying to find his game again. Even though he's not been that bad in the NHL right now, it's just more trying to find a way to make us a little bit worse. Like, I know it's kind of unrealistic, but we got to do it. So let's go to the end of December and see what we're at that stage. We're 19-8-2 right now. Let's see if we could fall off a bit after those adjustments. Let's see. So 2 more wins in a row. That's not what we want to see. There's a loss. There's another loss. Okay, please give me a losing streak. Nope. Apparently we beat we beat the Ducks in overtime, which literally that team has Sue right now, and they're a lot better. But this team is still finding ways to win games here. Hopefully we have a really bad second half of the season, because right now we're still going to be a playoff team at this rate. 25-12-2. Despite dropping off in our coaches, readjusting our goaltending, our defense is a bit weaker. I know that we're a good offensive team, though, too, so maybe we need to readjust the lines to prioritize the young guys. And then we move, like, Hemsky down to, like, a second line instead of a first line. So let's prioritize the young guys. So we are going to maybe try Cogs as the center, even though he's a 68 at faceoffs. We're going to move him. Actually, Gagne is technically young, too. Let's leave Gagne on the top line. Let's move Eberle to the top line with O'Sullivan as well. Actually, let's move Cogs up. This veteran second line could be okay, unless I wanted to move Brule up. Let's just try and make our team a little bit worse without destroying the chemistry. Yeah, that looks maybe a bit more interesting. And then defensively, I mean, let's just move Whitney down to the top 6. I don't really know. Alright, let's continue to simulate. See if this team can find ways to lose games. We decided to demote Hemsky because he's been doing too good. If he gets less ice time, maybe that will help things. But right now, we're trying our absolute best to basically fall off a cliff here. That's kind of interesting. Since this is the 2010-11 season, we're playing Boston 2 times in the same week that we're playing Vancouver, basically. So that's kind of a little bit weird that the scheduling's like that. We actually play Vancouver 3 times in the span of 3 weeks, which is also kind of nuts. So let's go to the end of January, and let's hope that this team starts to fall off. Because maybe our first half of the season is going to be good, but our second half isn't going to be as good. Because last year, we made the playoffs because we had a good start to the season. So it could end up being the same thing as last year, unless this team starts to actually fall off for a change. Which, right now, it still does not look like it's going to be the case, but there's an injury that I'll actually take. It's only for a week or so, but Hemsky's out with injured ribs out till January 14th, so we'll go replace player on that, but kind of was hoping that it was a little bit more long-term. Not that I want my guys getting injured, but I don't really want Hemsky in the lineup when he's been as good as he has been, but he's already back. And our team was still able to win games without him, which is not a great thing, so I guess Chris Menard is apparently really good when he's in the lineup. I don't know how this team's simulating this good. Maybe it's our center depth or something. But I think we're definitely going to have to find ways to make this team worse even in next episode again. Unless we start going on major losing streaks soon, which there's 2 losses in a row. But then, of course, we ended it with a win over Colorado. It seems like we never lose more than 2 games in a row. There's 2 more losses. Okay, maybe we're starting to fall off finally. 3 losses in a row, 4 losses in a row, but that's in overtime, and then we win in overtime. 31-17-4 at February the 1st. This team is still definitely over-simulating, and I'm not too sure why we're still simulating this good, because our coach should make us a lot worse. But our offense has fallen off. So we have gone from 3rd in goals for to 12th in goals for. We're now 11th in goals against, so I guess we've gotten better defensively in this episode. Our power play has also dropped off a cliff now, so that's probably why our offense has dropped off too. And we're still a top 5 team on the penalty kills, so we're all of a sudden a good defensive team rather than a all-around solid team. So maybe our team's going to start to fall off a bit and miss the playoffs, but currently, as of right now, we're still 1st place in the Northwest Division, and we're up by 8 points on the Vancouver Canucks with 2 games in hand, or with 2 more games played on in hand. But oh boy, let's actually go on the Western Conference and sort by points percentage right now, just to kind of see what the playoff picture is looking like right now. But I feel like we're gonna end up making the playoffs again here in this year, which is not what I was hoping for, really. Based off points right now, we're the 3rd best team in the West, but based off points percentage, we're still 3rd in points. We'd have to drop off by like more than 10% to basically miss the playoffs right now. I don't really know what to say about that. I honestly don't. We're probably going to continue to simulate, but yeah, next episode, if we want to absolutely tank the rest of the regular season if possible, we might have to actually trade Hemsky this year. Because I even know when Hemsky's been out of the lineup, though we've won games, so I don't really know. Dubnyk's got a .913 save percentage for 22 games, so Dubnyk's doing better than he should be for his overall, but that's good for us, at least in terms of the future. But yeah, we might honestly have to think about moving out Hemsky. We might have to. Is there any new offers for Hemsky with an open block? Oh, there is. The Boston Bruins would be prepared to give us Tim Thomas, Milan Lucic in a 2nd round pick. I do not want Tim Thomas, but Lucic in a 2nd round pick would be not bad. Lucic joining the Oilers, obviously a realistic thing. But I don't really want somebody like Tim Thomas. I just don't. Tim Thomas is a good goaltender, but we don't want a good goalie right now. Like, I'd be prepared to take Lucic in a 2nd for sure. I don't know how Boston would be cap compliant. Apparently, they'd just be barely cap compliant bringing in somebody like Hemsky. But Lucic in a 2nd round pick's not that bad, but I feel like it might make us too good early on. Like, Lucic is a solid young player, but I feel like it still makes us too good right now. Like, I'd prefer maybe not to bring somebody like him in right now, because we still could make the playoffs bringing in Lucic, so I'm not going to do that deal, but that's kind of an intriguing offer, to say the least. We could end up making it in the next episode if we want to, but what about Ryan Whitney? Would he fetch us anything interesting? Thomas, Colborne, and Kampfer? Nope. Halak, a 3rd, and DeSalvatore. Upshaw, Wolski, and Lepisto. Verbata, Wolski, and Lepisto. And then Brzgalov, Wolski, and Lepisto. Damn. What about somebody like, who else? I don't want to go Horkov because I'd have to actually go through the wave part right now. And he probably doesn't want to get dealt from this team with how we're playing right now. What about the Bullenswall? Does the Bullenswall have any interest yet? He does. Okay, now we have some offers for the Bullenswall. And it would be basically just getting a goalie replacement right away from former Oiler Ty Conklin would join our team, which we don't really need him unless I send down basically Delorier, but we don't really need Conklin. And then we'd also get Nigel Dawes. The other offer is Colby Armstrong and Nigel Dawes, which would still make us kind of too good right now. But we technically have to take in salary to basically get rid of the Bullenswall. Like, I want to get rid of the Bullenswall's contract right now. Like, at least with Conklin and Dawes, they're both pending free agents, so this could work out. But I don't know if that's a deal I want to make or not. I think I'm going to wait on that for now. And I'm going to continue to simulate. But once we get to a day before the trade deadline, we'll look at some potential offers again. But I really hope this team could fall off here, because it's kind of actually annoying that this team is doing good in a way, because I was anticipating this franchise mode being more of a rebuilding series. But right now it seems like this team just wants to contend. and then they'll want to go into a rebuild. But at least the future is still bright with guys like Eberle and all that. So let's go to the end of this month pretty much. And we'll stop probably at the end of this month just to see what we're like at that point. And then obviously the trade deadline will be next episode. But we just lost to New Jersey. That's good. A couple coaches are getting fired around the league. St. Louis, we beat them 6-4. And we beat Minnesota. Why are we so good this season? We are losing more games in this half of the season probably than the first half. But it's actually kind of nuts that we've been able to win as much games as we have been. So, it's good to see us falling off a little bit here. No, we're on a 3-game losing streak now. Spitoli's been injured. That's okay. We'll go replace player. Yeah, we're starting to lose some more games than winning, but we are still beating the bad teams, I guess, as Spitoli is back. We'll get him back in. JF Jacques was playing center, which doesn't really work out for him probably, but still, it's kind of funny. Get Spitoli back in here. Like, definitely it's got to be, like, the Hemsky and Horkoff type of guys, like the old guys on this team that are making us too good right now, right? Unless the young guys like Cogliano and Gagne are just cruising this season, which they could be. Game against Anaheim, who's fallen off a little bit. We win that game. We lose to the Blues in overtime. We beat Colorado. We beat LA. And we beat Chicago. God damn, man. That's where we're going to stop simulating for sure. 39-21-5. I feel like playoffs are almost a lock at this point, which is not what I was anticipating. I anticipated our team to fall off a lot. We definitely have lost more games recently, but we haven't lost enough. So that's not good. Even with the coaching adjustment too. Like, I thought the coach would definitely help us. We might need like a C-rated coach or something, not a whatever our current coach is. What is our current coach even? I think he was a B-, right? Like, if we go to coaching staff. Yeah, he's a B-. Maybe we should have looked for a C coach. Because a B- coach is still not bad. So, that's not great. Alright, let's take a look at some stats and see what's been going good for our team right now this season. So, obviously we're a good team. If we go to, so far, the Western Conference through the first bit of the season, we're still in 3rd place. We're actually almost 2nd place. We're up there with the Kings, of course, because the Kings are still a really good team. Goals for per game, our offense is technically, if you look in just a Western Conference, it's like 8th place or something like that. Or yeah, 8th place in the league. So kind of surprised on that. But based on points percentage right now, yeah, we're the 3rd best team still as well on points percentage. So I think at this rate, playoffs are almost a lock because we are 12.2% higher than the last playoff team in points percentage. Like, we'd have to drop off astronomically in these last 20 or so games. Or less than 20 games, I guess. Technically 17 games. Goals against per game in the Western Conference right now, we're pretty solid, 2.98. We only have scored 5 more goals than we've allowed those, so I'm kind of surprised on that. And then power play percentage, our power play is pretty bad, one of the worst in the Western Conference. And then the penalty kill, though, is the best in the West. So if we go to entire league, I think it's just our penalty kill that's basically doing us good work right now. Because goals for per game, we're probably not super high. Like, we are all the way. Actually, we're doing decent, I guess. In goals for per game. Goals against per game. We're a pretty solid defensive team league-wide, though. So that's the main thing, was we've actually found out how to play defense. Our power play percentage is one of the worst in the league. But that penalty kill is number 2. Only behind the Montreal Canadiens. So, and apparently we're a really good road team, not as much on home ice. Huh, alright. Well, let's take a look at some stats here and see what's been going good for us. Like, is there anybody that's kind of simulating too good? Okay, Hemsky's definitely one of those guys. Definitely one of those guys. But first and foremost, I mean, Sam Gagne is doing good. I don't mind that Gagne is doing good because he's a young prospect that we should probably hold on to for a while. He's looking nice, 54 points. Horkov's on 50 points. Yeah, so if we want to drop off, moving out from Horkov would help a lot. So we got to keep that in mind, trying to get him to waive. I don't know if he would waive with us being in a playoff spot right now, though. Cogliano on 41 points, Brule on 33. Pouliot has 25, and Patoli has 12. All right. Left wing side of things, O'Sullivan's on 55. Maybe we should have traded O'Sullivan before re-signing him, because I feel like he could be a part of why this team's similarly good. He's doing really good offensively, and his plus-minus is good too. Nilsson on 22 points, Jones on 13, Reddick's on 13. 3 points in 3 games for Chris Menard. That's kind of surprising. And a goal in 1 game for JF Schock. He scored on his only shot of his first game. That's kind of sick. Right wing side of things, we have Hemsky on 69 points in 62 games. He's been really good when he's been in the lineup. And yeah, if we want to drop off as well, we got to find a way to trade him either this season or next season. At this point, we might as well just do what we did last year and make the playoffs and then offload Hemsky and Horkoff in the offseason. But that is starting to rebuild a little bit later than anticipated. We could always trade Hemsky for a high-up first-round pick in the 2011 draft when we get to the draft part. Maybe. So we'll think about that. Eberle on 34 points in his rookie season, 18 goals, 16 assists. He's been really solid. He's still listed as a depth forward, but he's developing quite nicely. Hopefully he doesn't get a lot of statistical growth. Hopefully it's just a lot of natural. From a defensive standpoint, Gilbert's on 50 points already in 65 games. I mean, this would be also the year to capitalize on Tom Gilbert's value, but we could always do that at the draft as well. He's been fantastic. I don't know where this point production's come from this season. Last year, I mean, he had 39 points, which is good, but this year, 50 points is a whole new level for Tom Gilbert. So hopefully he continues to do what he does so as that value just keeps on going up. Whitney on 28 points, solid. Petrie on 14. Spiza is so far with us. How has he done? 8 points in 36 games, so playing on that top pairing has worked well for him offensively. He's also a +3 since joining this team. I don't really mind that. Like I said, he's a good fit here. He's a good young defenseman, throws a lot of hits, 84 hits already from with us, 49 block shots. Yeah, I like the way he's been playing with our team this season. And I think he might be somebody we look to keep as like maybe a top 6 defenseman down the road. Because obviously I don't think he's going to always be playing with Gilbert, but he seems to be doing a good job so far. Schmid on 8 points, -8. Strudwick on 7 goals, which is hilarious. I don't know how Strudwick is just scoring goals, though. This guy's not an offensive defenseman by any stretch, but he has 7 goals with a 2-star shooting category and a 72 offensive awareness. So shout out to Strudwick. He is in the last year of his deal, so probably a free agent at the end of the year. Chorney, when he's been in lineups, has been good defensively. +4 in 3 games. I'll take it. And then from a goalie perspective, Dubnyk and Delorier both have been really good so far with their .911 save percentage and a 2.85 goals against and a 2.94. So these guys, even though they're technically the weaker goalies, they actually have been doing better than what the Bullen Wall was doing when he was up here, which is kind of surprising. So there is that. Let's briefly take a look at Springfield here too. Hodgson's been actually really good in the AHL. Looks like the AHL team is getting some point production, but there's also some bad plus minuses. But at least looks like most of the top prospects that are in the AHL are simulating decently. What about defensively? Wild on 24. Goalies. Bullenwall has a 939 in the AHL. Already 5 shutouts in 25 games. So, hey, maybe he'll help Springfield get to the playoffs if we have him down there the rest of the year. And then Brian Pitten's actually done really well too. So, there we go. That's the AHL. Let's take a look at stats around the league briefly as well while we're at it, just to see who's leading at this point in the season. Currently, it's still 7 with 101 points through 66 games. Goddamn. Absolutely killing it is Alexander Semin. And Ovechkin's killing it in goals. He's already got 55 in 66 games. Goddamn, man. The Caps are insane. They definitely could pull off a back-to-back this year. And then defensively, Mike Green. It's everything Washington related right now. But Tom Gilbert is a top 3 defenseman in defensive points right now, only behind Andrei Markov and Green. So, shout out to Gilbert. And then goalie-wise right now, Holmstrom's got a 39 save percentage, or 39 wins, I should say, not a save percentage. He leads in shutouts. Best save percentage by a starter right now is Ryan Miller, though, with a 920. And best goals against average by a starter is Jimmy Howard. So Detroit's having a good year. Any goalie goals so far? Yes, Andrei Pavlik scored a goal. That's pretty cool. Shout out to Andrei Pavlik. I know Tyler's going to, if Tyler watches this episode, he's going to be happy to see that former Cape Breton Screaming Eagles goaltender, scoring a goal in the NHL. And then Brodeur and a bunch of others on 3 assists. All right. Best rookie so far this season is still Olsen. And then Kyle Turris is up there. Jeff Skinner. All right. Pretty good rookie crop. Eberle is still top 5 in rookie points. This season, he is number 2 in rookie goals. All right. Awesome. So there is all that. Let's take a look at the trading block and see what we could potentially whip up for next episode. Like I said, if we want to, we could honestly just keep the current team, see if we make the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, it's not the worst thing that could happen. We could always trade guys at the draft to basically, like Gilbert and Hemsky, to basically get ourselves a high up first round pick this year if we want to, or we could trade those guys for next year's draft as well, because we do have the Ducks first rounder for next year too. So we honestly could just try and make the playoffs this year, or just keep the team the same and see if we make the playoffs. And then we could think about off-selling players in the off-season instead. So that might honestly be the play. Or we could trade players right now and hope that our team falls off drastically, which is unlikely to happen at this stage, because I don't think we're going to drop off so much that we're going to miss the playoffs. But it could happen, but I don't know if it would. So let's go to the trading block just to see what's out there anyways, just in case there's any good young players on the block. The usual suspects in Anaheim are on the block. Those guys like Holland and all that. John Klingberg's still on the block. Atlanta, Krog, and some veterans, some young guys that might pan out, might not. It would be nice to have somebody like Visunov, but I don't know if he'll pan out really. And also because Visunov was on the Locomotive plane crash, so I wouldn't mind bringing Visunov into being a good NHLer at some stage. I guess he was already dealt one point this in his career. He'd be an interesting prospect to have for sure. Like, I definitely think he could be an NHLer based on his shooting categories at least and such. But what else we got here? Boston has Lucic on the block, as we mentioned. Tim Thomas is on the block. But will Boston win a Stanley Cup in 2011, I wonder? What else we got here? Buffalo, Ritola. All right. Yoni Ortio. Carolina has Dustin Penner still on the block. Jokin and some veterans that we're not going to bring in. Chicago has Niemi on the block. I thought, oh yeah, did he go to free agency and did they re-sign him again? Because I thought he went to free agency. I guess he must have got re-signed to a one-year deal again. Kind of surprised on that. But they also do still have Crawford as well. He's on the block, which is not bad. Brent Seabrook's on the block with 1 year left. Dustin Blufflin's on the block with 1 year left. So Chicago is probably doing decent still, I would think, but maybe they're not. It's just kind of insane, though, because a lot of these guys obviously would leave the Chicago Blackhawks down the road, but Niemi was obviously gone to the Sharks already by his point. Crawford never left until he was technically dealt to New Jersey or whatever was or signed with New Jersey. Seabrook, obviously, until he was on LTIR and his money got sent to Tampa. Bufflin got dealt quite early on. Like, at this point, he'd already be on the Atlanta Thrashers. And then Brent Sopel would have been, I guess, on Montreal at this point, I think, or Atlanta as well. Or maybe he was retired. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, a lot of those guys were moved on from. Colorado has Hannon on the block. Craig Anderson's there at 29. I don't know why he dropped down to an 80 overall. That's kind of strange. He is injured currently, so shout out to Craig Anderson, though. Sens legend, also Peter Budaj is there. Glenn Metropolitan, Dean McCammond, Columbus, Kim Johnson. There's some pretty good veterans out there, but like I said, we're not trying to contend. Mark Mathot's on the block. That's actually kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting because at this point in time, he would have not been dealt yet for Vermette, or not for Vermette, for Pascal Leclerc, or with Pascal Leclerc. I can't remember when Mathot came over. No, it was the Foligno deal. Yeah, that's what it was. So maybe he'll get dealt from Foligno in this universe. Dallas, Bill Guerin, Steve Ott. All right, yeah, a lot of veterans mostly on the block. I mean, there's prospects like Nyquist and all that, but Detroit's probably right up against the cap right now, my guess. And we need cap, basically. Florida and LA have pretty much nothing. Some prospects. Minnesota. Eric Howlett's there still. Like I said, there is some players, but I don't know if I'd be bringing stuff like that in. And like I said, I don't know if our team is going to fall off enough to miss the playoffs if we make moves now. Like, maybe I should have stopped simulating a little bit earlier, but then again, I only simulated a tiny bit in the first episode, so kind of wanted to do a little bit more simulating in this episode. As Dwayne Rollison's on the block, so who knows, maybe Tampa will bring him in, and maybe he'll get them to a conference finals. I don't even know where Tampa is in the standings right now, speaking of Tampa. Pascal Leclerc and Fisher and such on the block. No Foligno on the block, though, unfortunately. That'd be interesting to see Foligno get dealt from a thought. Anything else? Wolski's dropping off as well. A lot of morale-related issues, it seems like, with teams right now. Like, Wolski's dropped down to a 78, so maybe I should have turned off morale in the series, because I think that was one thing I planned on doing, but I didn't do. Wolski's only played 11 games this season, and it's not because of injury. So, I guess the Yotes are just too strong that they're scratching him as a second-line forward. I mean, he has been pretty trash when he's played, though. Only 2 assists and a -7. But he has only played like 9 minutes a game. Seems like some morale-related problems on a lot of these teams. So maybe we have to rescue some people eventually. So that way they're actually happy and still playing in the NHL rather than just being buried. Wow. David Backes is already on the block. I'm kind of surprised on that because I thought St. Louis would use him and build around him. But he's on the block at the age of 26 because he is a pending UFA at the end of the year. St. Louis also has Cole Yakovo, Chris Chelios, Merrick Malik, and Colby Armstrong on the block. Tampa, more veterans. Pierre Parento, one of the younger guys out there. Toronto has Cabriolet, Kachuk, Taff, Calder, and Burish. All right. Vancouver, Jordan Schrader is a prospect. Riley Sheehan. Washington, just some prospects as well. Yeah, there's not really too much out there. I honestly think at this point, we might wait till the draft to trade away some guys like Hemsky, Horkov, and all that. So that way we don't have to worry about the cap and all that. We might honestly wait till the offseason to do that. And then just see if this team makes the playoffs, which they probably will. And see if they do as good as they did last year or not. Kind of hoping not the case, but it's nice that we have at least a first-round pick for next year with Anaheim's. Like, if we go to proposed trade, maybe we should have brought in our first-round pick this year, but they are pretty similar to us in record. I don't even know if they're in a playoff spot right now, but as of right now, you can see we have 2 first-rounders for next year. We could bring in multiple first-rounders for next year if we trade Hemsky in the offseason as well, instead of for this year's draft, but I don't know if this draft is like the craziest one that we honestly need to have a top 5 selection. And it is a good draft, but if we're even drafting in the middle of the first round, we might be able to get something decent still too. Like we could still draft, like we could still make the playoffs basically and draft JT Miller on this team, Saad, Trocheck. Like there's definitely still options for later first rounders. I don't remember if I made any lowlights in this draft class or not. I don't think so. I mean, like, Adam Lowry even is pretty solid, too. So, yeah, we definitely could still find good prospects regardless of playoffs or not. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Edmonton Oilers Throwback 2010 Franchise Mode. So, in next episode, we'll take it to the 2011 trade deadline. We'll see if we decide to offload some of the players now to see if we miss the playoffs, or if we decide just to stay pat pretty much and see if we make the playoffs still. And obviously, if we do make the playoffs with this roster and we have those guys still on a roster like Hemsky and all that, we are definitely going to look into moving them in the offseason. But at least there's some good promise with some of the young guys on this roster. Like I definitely don't have any complaints about how guys like Tubnik, Gagne, Cogliano have been playing. I think it's good that they're already playing really good, but obviously we need to find a way to make this team get more prospects in, and that's the number one thing I think this team needs down the road. So think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.